Welcome to this ILMS Academy session on one of the most important yet under-discussed dimensions of India's labour law reform. Why are Indian states delaying the implementation of the new labour codes? India enacted 4 landmark labour codes between 2019 and 2020, the Code on Wages, the Industrial Relations Code, the Social Security Code, and the OSH Code. Together, these consolidate 29 central labour laws into a unified national framework. But there is a critical catch. Labour is a concurrent subject under India's constitution, meaning both the central and state governments share legislative authority. For the codes to actually take effect in any state, that state government must issue its own notification and frame its own rules. Without those notifications, the codes remain law on paper, but not law in practice. And as of now, the picture across India is deeply uneven. Some states have moved quickly. Many have moved slowly. And a few have barely moved at all. In this video, we will examine 8 key dimensions of this delay: the constitutional framework, economic and industrial concerns, political and governance factors, sectoral workforce challenges, the implications for employers and employees, lessons from early implementing states, and the outlook for full nationwide adoption. This is a story about the gap between legislation and implementation, and why that gap matters enormously for every employer, employee, and policymaker in India. Let us begin by understanding exactly why the new labour codes are not uniformly in force across India, because this is the foundational question. The 4 labour codes, on wages, industrial relations, social security, and OSH, were passed by Parliament between 2019 and 2020. They represent a massive legislative achievement, consolidating 29 central statutes into a unified national framework. But here is the constitutional reality: labour is a concurrent list subject under the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution. Both the central government and state governments have the authority to legislate on labour matters. The central government can pass the codes, but it cannot force states to implement them. For a code to become operative in a state, that state government must issue an official notification in its state gazette specifying the effective date. It must draft its own state-specific rules, covering wage structures, contribution rates, safety thresholds, and enforcement mechanisms. And it must establish the monitoring authorities responsible for inspections, grievance redressal, and compliance verification. Without all of these steps being completed, the codes remain law in name, but carry no force in that state. The result is a patchwork India. Some states moved early and comprehensively. Many moved partially. And several have barely begun. For employers operating across multiple states, and for workers employed in less progressive jurisdictions, this creates profound uncertainty about rights, obligations, and protections. Let us now examine the constitutional and administrative architecture that governs state-level implementation, because understanding this framework is essential to understanding why delays are structurally inevitable, not just political. The first point is constitutional. Labour is listed under Entry 22 of the concurrent list in the 7th schedule. Both Parliament and state legislatures have competence to legislate on labour matters. Parliament passed the codes. But implementation rests with the states. This is not a loophole, it is the design of India's federal structure. Neither the centre nor the states can override each other. The second point is procedural. For a labour code to have legal force in a state, 3 distinct steps must be completed. First, the state must issue an official gazette notification specifying the date from which the code applies. Second, the state must draft its own rules, covering wage thresholds, social security contribution rates, safety standards, and compliance procedures, adapted to local conditions. Third, monitoring authorities must be constituted and empowered to conduct inspections, receive grievances, and enforce provisions. All 3 steps must be complete. A partial notification creates more confusion than no notification at all. Third, coordination between the centre and states is genuinely complex. States have different industrial structures, workforce compositions, and fiscal capacities. Interpreting ambiguous provisions requires back and forth with central ministries. And political misalignment, particularly between states governed by opposition parties and the central government, adds friction. Fourth, even post-notification, enforcement requires infrastructure that many states simply do not yet have: trained inspectors, digital compliance portals, and functional grievance cells. The economic and industrial considerations driving state delays are not merely bureaucratic excuses, they reflect genuine and legitimate concerns about the practical consequences of rapid implementation. The first concern is the SME compliance burden. Small and medium enterprises dominate the economic fabric of most Indian states. These businesses typically lack dedicated HR teams, legal advisors, and sophisticated payroll systems. Asking them to simultaneously restructure salary components, establish PF and SE records for all workers, and implement occupational safety standards within a short time frame is simply not operationally realistic. States delay to allow their SME sectors a transitional period for adaptation. The second concern is the impact on labor-intensive industries. Manufacturing, construction, and services employ tens of millions of workers in states like Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, and West Bengal. Applying uniform wage floors, mandatory social security contributions, and safety compliance requirements increases operational costs significantly. The fear is real. Overly rapid enforcement could lead to layoffs, factory closures, or the movement of units to more permissive jurisdictions, outcomes that hurt the very workers the codes are designed to protect. Third, states are acutely aware of their investment climate. They compete with each other and with global locations to attract industrial investment. Immediate enforcement creates uncertainty for potential investors evaluating a location's regulatory environment. Phased notifications serve as a signal we are implementing, but responsibly. And fourth, the informal sector question is genuinely difficult. India's gig workers, daily laborers, and informal contractors number in the hundreds of millions. Formalizing them overnight is neither administratively possible nor fiscally affordable for most state governments. Beyond economics, political and governance dynamics play an equally significant role in determining how quickly states act. On the political side, electoral cycles have a demonstrable influence on policy implementation timelines. State governments are reluctant to introduce measures that could trigger industrial unrest, union agitation, or employer backlash in the months before an election. The new labor codes touch both sides of the labor equation. Workers see some provisions as threatening their overtime income and job security, while employers see compliance costs as burdensome. Any government implementing the codes has to manage both constituencies simultaneously. And in states governed by parties in opposition to the central government at New Delhi, there is an additional layer of political friction. Reforms associated with the ruling party at the center are sometimes slow-walked, not because of principled objection, but as a statement of political independence. On the administrative capacity side, the labor departments in many Indian states are genuinely stretched. They are understaffed, often lack digital infrastructure, and do not always have the legal expertise needed to draft sophisticated state-specific rules. The codes are complex documents. Getting the state rules right requires significant institutional capacity that many states are still building. On enforcement readiness, a state that notifies the codes without the capacity to enforce them may actually create worse outcomes than a state that takes more time to prepare. Partial or unenforced notification creates the illusion of compliance without the reality of protection. Several states have consciously chosen to delay notification until their enforcement infrastructure is genuinely ready. At the sectoral and workforce level, three categories create the most complex implementation challenges. The first is gig and platform workers. The Social Security Code formally recognizes gig workers as a protected category, a groundbreaking provision. But for states, actually implementing this requires building something that has never existed before, a registration system for workers who move between platforms, multiple employers, and locations, a contribution collection mechanism that can handle variable income, and a benefit delivery infrastructure that reaches workers who may not have traditional employment records. No state has a ready template for this. Designing it takes time. The second challenge is contract and fixed-term employment. The codes require that fixed-term and contractual workers receive the same pay as permanent employees for equivalent work. This increases costs for small and seasonal employers, from garment factories to construction contractors to hospitality businesses, who have historically relied on the cost differential between permanent and contractual workers. Third, agriculture and micro-enterprises present a particular difficulty. These sectors are not uniformly excluded from the codes, but applying the full range of minimum wage, PF, and occupational safety obligations to a 10-person workshop or a seasonal farm worker is administratively and financially complex. States need to design tailored thresholds and phased implementation approaches for these sectors, and that design process takes time. And on the wage threshold front, the 50% basic wage rule increases PF and gratuity costs significantly. States must model the aggregate fiscal and employment impact before committing to enforcement, because getting it wrong could drive investment to other states. State-level delays in implementing the new labor codes are not neutral events. They create real consequences for both employers and employees that compound over time. For employers, the most immediate challenge is compliance uncertainty. Companies operating across multiple states, a retail chain, a logistics company, a manufacturing conglomerate, must currently maintain fundamentally different payroll and HR compliance systems depending on which state their operations are in. A Delhi branch may have different minimum wage and PF contribution obligations from a Hyderabad branch, which differs again from operations in Kolkata. This is not just administratively burdensome, it is expensive and error-prone. Compliance teams cannot plan proactively. They do not know which state will notify next, what rules will be framed, or what thresholds will be set. This sustained uncertainty makes long-term workforce planning extremely difficult. And there is a significant retrospective enforcement risk that many employers underestimate. When states eventually do notify, and they will, they may apply provisions with retroactive effect. An employer who assumed that non-notification meant zero obligation during the delay period may find themselves facing unexpected financial liability for backdated contributions or protections. For employees, the implications are more directly human. Workers in non-notified states are simply not receiving the enhanced minimum wages, social security coverage, and occupational safety protections that the codes promise. They are working under laws that Parliament passed years ago, but that their state has not yet activated. The most vulnerable workers, gig workers, contractual staff, informal laborers, suffer most from this rights gap. The staggered nature of implementation across India has created a natural experiment, and from it, we can draw three important lessons from the states that moved first. Lesson 1: Structured rollout with comprehensive state-specific rules. The early adopters did not simply publish a notification and leave employers to figure out the implications. They drafted detailed state rules, defining wage thresholds, contribution rates, inspection processes, and sector-specific exemptions, and made these publicly available before or alongside the notification itself. This gave employers and workers clarity about their actual obligations, not just a legal effective date. The key takeaway: notification without rules creates confusion. Rules without enforcement create cynicism. The states that got it right did both, in the right order. Lesson 2: Proactive stakeholder engagement before notification. States that consulted with industry chambers, trade unions, and HR associations before notifying encountered significantly less resistance and legal challenge after notification. Consultation gave legitimate concerns a proper hearing, allowed rules to be refined with practical input, and built genuine buy-in from the people responsible for implementation. The key takeaway: states that spent time consulting before notifying spent far less time managing disputes after notifying. Engagement is not delay, it is investment. Lesson 3: Phased implementation by sector and size. Rather than applying all four codes to all sectors simultaneously, early adopters prioritized large, compliance-ready establishments first. SMEs, informal units, and agricultural employers received extended timelines and scale thresholds. This avoided the economic shock of simultaneous mandatory compliance across the entire economy. The key takeaway: phased rollout is not weakness, it is the strategy that makes eventual uniform adoption achievable. Let us close with the outlook and practical recommendations. The overarching message on the outlook is captured by three words: inevitable, staggered, and proactive. Full nationwide adoption of all four labor codes is inevitable. The question is not whether it will happen, it is when, and in what sequence. States that are currently delayed are not exempt from the codes indefinitely. They are simply in a transitional phase. The lessons from early implementing states, growing pressure from the central government, and increasing employer and investor demands for uniformity will eventually compel all states to act. But it will remain staggered, meaning uneven and asynchronous, for the foreseeable future. Employers and workers need to plan for a world where different states have different effective dates, different thresholds, and different enforcement intensities for years to come. Which makes the third word, proactive, the most important practical advice. For employers, monitor state notifications every month. Maintain dual compliance systems. Engage legal counsel on retrospective enforcement risk. This is genuinely underappreciated. And invest in digital HR platforms that can handle state-specific rule variations without manual intervention. For employees, check your state's notification status. Your new rights only apply where your state has officially notified the relevant codes. Ask your HR department for written clarity on which provisions currently apply to your employment. Keep personal records of wages, contributions, and hours worked. And know your existing grievance channels. Even in non-notified states, older labor laws still provide basic protections. The gap between legislation and implementation is temporary. The work required to navigate it is permanent until nationwide adoption is complete. And that brings us to the close of today's analytical session. Let us summarize the 4 categories of factors driving state delays in implementing India's new labor codes. Political factors, electoral cycles, union and employer pressures, and center-state political dynamics all influence how quickly a state acts. Economic factors, SME compliance burden, investment climate concerns, the scale of the informal sector, and the fiscal implications of extended social security coverage all justify and explain cautious timelines. Administrative factors, limited capacity in labor departments, inadequate digital infrastructure, and coordination challenges between central and state authorities create practical bottlenecks. And sectoral factors, the complexity of covering gig workers, contractual staff, agricultural workers, and micro-enterprises, each with different compliance needs, makes a simultaneous nationwide rollout genuinely impractical. None of these factors is insurmountable. And none of them makes the delay acceptable indefinitely. The law is passed. The clock is running. Every month of delay is a month in which workers who deserve new protections are not receiving them. The message for every stakeholder watching this video. If you are an employer, monitor, plan, and do not wait for enforcement to start preparing. If you are an employee, know your state status, know your existing rights, and stay informed. If you are a policymaker, look at the lessons from early implementing states and act. India's labor reform will eventually be complete. ILMS Academy's certificate course in labor laws will give you the depth of understanding to navigate every stage of that journey. The link is on your screen. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. Until next time.